Hi guys, welcome to AndroGuider. So it has been a while since I last reviewed an alpha build of LineageOS for the POCO F1, and today I'm going to do that since a lot of updates have been out now, and the ROM is much more stable than it was 2 months ago, and that was when I last reviewed it. Alright, so what I will firstly tell you about the changes that have been there in the last 2 months, and the most important of those have been the improvements to performance. The developers claim improvements up to 43% in performance, and that is reflected in the benchmarks too. The problem with the previous builds of LineageOS was that the performance was nowhere near that of MIUI, and when I say benchmarks, I mean in LineageOS we were getting scores of about to 90,000, or I mean, I'm not that a great believer of benchmarks, but just to show that to you, I mean, if I am to express the performance in mathematical figures, then I guess there is no other way other than the benchmarks. So in terms of benchmarks, the POCO F1 was getting 290,000 to 80,000 for me in MIUI, and now I'm getting about 275,000. This test that I just ran got about 268,862, and the last test that I ran that got about 275,000, and the one before that it was around 280,000. So the performance is now really close to that of MIUI, and this is the biggest change in terms of performance. This was the AnTuTu score. Now if I move to Geekbench and history, you can see that the single core score is 2394, and the multi-core score is 8863, and if I show you the score for MIUI, I just did that just a few hours back. In MIUI the score was 2361 for the single core, and the multi-core score was 8783. So clearly there is the performance is nearly that of MIUI, although it's still not I would still say that there is a slight difference in the performance in MIUI. I find MIUI to be slightly better, but LineageOS is closer than ever now. Now let's get into the feature sets. A couple of feature additions have also been made, so I will firstly start off with the major feature additions, and the first one is that of the addition of Dirac Sound. So you can access Dirac Sound by going to Sound and Advanced, and then this is the Dirac Sound Enhancer is the last option. So when you tap on that, you can adjust the headset type. There are a lot of headsets are present: Mi earbuds, Mi in-ear earbuds, and there are a lot of headset types to choose from. So if you have got any of the earbuds or headphones mentioned in here, then you can select these, or you can just try out the different options listed in here. Check out how the audio is coming out of your earphones or headphones or whatever you use, and if you are satisfied with that, then you can use that option. And we have also got some sound presets for you to choose from. We have got default, rock, jazz, pop, classical, hip-hop, blues, electronic, country, dance, metal. So if you love, I personally love jazz, that's why I have selected I have set the sound preset to jazz, and that's the type of music that I mostly listen to. So if you want to listen, if you have any particular sound preset in your mind that you want to set, then you can choose that from in here. Alright, so that is the first major feature addition. Another feature that has been added is the one-handed mode. So if you have a small hand, and if you have got small hands and you want to use the one-handed mode, then the one-handed mode is enabled by default, and it only works when you have got the pie style navigation gestures, and you can enable those by going to System, Advanced, Gestures, and swipe up on home key. When you turn these on, the new navigation bar would be enabled, and if you swipe from right to left on the navigation bar, or swipe from left to right, then you would be able to use the one-handed mode. So that's the one-handed mode for you. Now I will just give you a quick overview of all the options that we have in the ROM. So network and internet, I don't think I have to cover anything up here, and Another thing that is worth mentioning here is that Wi-Fi and hotspot now can be used simultaneously. Previously that wasn't possible. I think this build was released in November. There was a build in November that added this feature. So the thing is that now you can use the Wi-Fi and hotspot together. And if you want to add support for VPNs is obviously there, and if you want to add a private DNS, then you can use that too. You can just enter the private DNS provider hostname here, and then you would be able to use the private DNS. Next we have got connected devices, and herein you will find settings for Bluetooth, and the Bluetooth performance has been improved a lot. Previously some users reported that the audio used to lag with the video, but now that's not the case. Both the audio and the video play in sync even via Bluetooth earphones, so that's great to see. Next we have got settings for apps and notifications. I don't think I have got much to cover in here, but digital well-being is present in there. So if you want to view how much time you have been spending on a particular app, then you can do that. I have spent 50 minutes on Substradum, 9 minutes in KV browser, 8 minutes in Telegram, and you can also view the number of notifications you have received from every app, and the times you have opened a particular app, and you can also access the calendar history. Alright, and then if you want to set a timer for a particular app, then you can set daily timers for most apps. When the app timer ends, the app is paused for the rest of the day. So if you want to set a timer, and timers are not available for system apps, but if you want to set a timer 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, or if you want to have a custom timer, then you can do that. So yeah, we have got digital well-being in here, and if you want to configure notifications for any apps, then you can do all that stuff from in here, right? And yeah, app details, you can view the app on the Play Store, and if you want to configure the notifications, you can do that from in here. Allow notification dots, you can configure all that. Yeah. Next we have got display settings, and you can configure the brightness level. Adaptive brightness is there. Live display, you can configure the color temperature, display mode, when should live display be enabled, automatic off, day, night. Color profiles, you can change that. DCI-P3 and sRGB, you get both the color modes, and then if you want to have a reading mode, then you can enable that. Color calibration, you can calibrate the on-screen colors, and picture adjustment, you can calibrate the hue, saturation, intensity, and contrast. So we have got a range of settings for configuring the display to your utmost liking, so that's great to see. Next you can configure how you want the style, how you want the system user interface to be styled. You can currently I am running the dark mode, and I'll just quickly go to the developer options, and I'll just enable that from there. I'm just playing around with my phone. Night mode, I'll just turn that to automatic based on the time of the day. Okay, and by the way, the Google camera also works. I'm going to get to that in just a couple of minutes. So yeah, I'll go back to display, style, and you can choose any style you want. Automatic based on the wallpaper, based on the time of the day, or if you want to have the light or dark theme, you can choose that. Then you can also configure the accent color, and you've got a range of options for that. I'll just choose banana, and I don't know, I'll just swipe this away. Okay, yeah, forest, yeah, that looks better. Then if you want to have a dark mode, if you want to have the default grayish dark colored background, or if you want to have a black instead of that, then you can enable that option. And when I just turn to dark now, you can see that the background color is black now. I'll just quickly turn that to light, and automatic will pick up the accent and the background color based on the wallpaper that you have set. Next we have got you can configure the wallpaper, sleep timeouts. The maximum limit is 30 minutes and the minimum is 15 seconds. Rotation settings, you can there is an option to rotate the lock screen, and 180 degrees rotation is also there. Expanded desktop, full screen, So basically you can hide the status bar, navigation bar, or both for a particular app. So that's what expanded desktop is. And if you want to force full screen or force certain apps to utilize the entire screen, the entire aspect ratio, then you can enable that option from in here. And ambient display works really well. I haven't had any problems with that. And if you want ambient display to be triggered when you pick up via certain gestures, when you pick up your phone, or when you do a hand wave over the proximity sensor, or when you pull out the phone from your pocket, if you want ambient display to be triggered, then you can enable either of these options. And have a double tap to wake, that works fine. One-handed mode, I have already told you about that. Double tap to sleep is there on the status bar, and then you have got wake on plug and pocket mode. And I would recommend you to have this option enabled, because I've had times when I wasn't using the phone deliberately, but when I pulled the phone from the pocket, the screen was on, and I hadn't enabled ambient display or anything. It was just that I think probably my finger might have double tapped the screen in the pocket, and then the phone might have it might have been then that the screen would have turned on. But if I have found that when I enabled the prevent accidental wake up option, then the screen didn't get turned on. So I would recommend you to have that enabled. Sound settings, you can adjust the different volume levels. There is vibrate for calls, do not disturb mode, shortcut to prevent ringing, and press the power and volume up together, and that will trigger that will put the phone into vibrate mode. And then you can also set that to as mute or do nothing. Alright, then you can configure the different sounds, ringtones, and then we have got dial pad tones, screen locking sounds, charging sounds. You can also enable vibration for charging, and you can also configure the charging sound you want. Touch sounds are there, touch vibration is there, and direct sound and answer, I have already covered that up. Storage setting, there's nothing much to cover up here. The SD cards are detected fine. The read and write speeds are great. In terms of read and write speed, the performance is simply equal of that of MIUI. I have verified that with benchmarks for those of you who are concerned about that. But the read and write speeds are in par with the MIUI. Security and location, and you get the pattern lock. You can configure the grid size that you want with the pattern lock: 3x3, 4x4, 5x5, 6x6. And another thing, and how I forgot to mention this, the IR camera works now. So for you to use the IR camera, you first have to set up any PIN, password, or pattern lock, and then open up Smart Unlock, and then go to Trusted Face. So I'll just remove Trusted Face for the time being, and I will tap on Trusted Face, and now you can see that the infrared camera is into action. So the IR camera works, right? Cool, and it's blazing fast whenever you just pull the phone out of your pocket, and the moment the IR camera has a look of you, it will unlock the phone. It's really fast. And then there are all other types of smart lock, on body detection, trusted places, trusted devices, voice match. You can enable either of those if you want. And under settings, make pattern visible, show pattern error, show pattern dots, power button instantly locks, direct unlock, lock screen message, display, media cover art, music visualizers, all that stuff is in there. Then fingerprints, that was obviously working fine. And then you have got trust from and privacy card has also been added back. I'll just be showing that to you. Trust is there if you want to use that. I don't use that, but trust is there. And under privacy, we have got privacy card that was removed in one of the earlier builds, but it's back now, and it works flawlessly too. Then by the way, I have a separate video on privacy card, so if you want to know more on how to use privacy card as a tool to combat malicious apps and at the same time to save up on some battery use, then check that video out. I'll be having it linked in the description box. And then if you want to set a limit for sending out the messages, then you can set that. Yeah, and GPS worked fine. And the flashlight toggle has also now been fixed. Previously the flashlight toggle wasn't working fine, but now it does. Mobile data works fine, Wi-Fi works fine, and I didn't have any issues with auto rotate either. So everything is working fine. Sync is also working fine. You get all your notifications on time, and I haven't had any problems with that. And while we are in the quick settings panel, I will give you guys a look at what all the quick setting tiles are there in the ROM. So these are the quick setting tiles that are enabled, and these are the ones that you can add on. Just ignore the MI Explorer tiles in here. I just happen to have installed MI Explorer, and that's why those tiles are showing up. And Substratum, it's not the support is not built into the ROM, but you can use Substratum. I have used Substratum themes and I have had no problems. Just make sure that though if you want to use Substratum, you will have to use Magisk or any other, or if you want to use if you want to root in any other way using another client, then you can do that, but make sure that you have root access. I would personally recommend you to use Magisk. Yeah, so that's all that we have in security and location. There is nothing to cover up in accounts. Accessibility, I don't think there is anything in here that I have to cover up. Yep. Digital well-being, I have already covered that up, but if you want to have any, if you want to see more detailed stats, then there is a dedicated option for digital well-being. You can also access that from under the notifications menu, but you can reduce interruptions, manage notifications, do not disturb, show icons in the app list. So I've already covered that up. You can look into this more if you want to. And lastly, we have got the system section, and herein you will find buttons. So if you want to show the arrow keys while typing, you can do that. I have already told you on how to enable the newer pie style navigation bar. You will have to go to the gestures for that. I will be covering up with gestures again. Then navigation bar, if you want to have the old style navigation bar, then there are a couple of styles for that. This is the normal one, this is the compact style, left leaning, right leaning. I'll just set that back to as normal. And then if you want to have any extra left button type on if you want to have any extra button on the left hand side, I'll just set this to as rotate, confirm, or keyboard switcher, and I'll just give you guys a look on how this works. Now when I rotate the phone, you can see that I've got an extra button on both the left side and the right side. So that is a confirmation. That is basically asking a confirmation from me if I want to rotate the phone or not. And this really comes in handy if you rotate your phone by mistake when you are lying back on bed, and the orientation of the phone changes and then it starts rotating. So this toggle will help you in that. And you can also set, if you want to, you can also set that left button type to as clipboard, and there are all sorts of key code combinations that you can come up with. And if you use any keyboard, then you can also set that icon. Okay, yeah, so that's all what we have. And then if you want to invert the layout of the navigation keys, you can also do that. And then you can configure the long press actions for the home key, and these are the options that you get. You can also configure the double tap action for the home key, long press action for the recents key. Then you have got a bunch of settings for the power menu. These are all the options that we have in power menu. You can use the power button to cut the call. We have got the long press the power key to trigger the torch, and you can set up a timer for the torch when should the torch get disabled automatically. Volume keys, wake device, answer the call, control music playback. You can skip music tracks while the screen is off using the volume keys. Then we have got the keyboard cursor control, and lastly you can reorient the volume keys when the device is rotated. Then we have got system profiles. you can set this up yourself. You can select when should a profile be triggered when you are connected to a particular Wi-Fi network or a Bluetooth net or a Bluetooth device, and then you can configure the name of the profile and what all you want the profile to do. Do you want the Bluetooth to be turned off, turned on, and you can configure different parameters for the GPS, Wi-Fi, auto sync data connection, portable Wi-Fi hotspot, volume overrides, and there are all sorts of settings that you can play around with. And then you have got settings for the status bar. Quick pull down is there, and then if you want to enable or disable any icon from the status bar, you can do that from in here. Clock position, left or right, and if you hide the notch, and that option is there in the developer options, I will be covering that up too. You will be getting an option for the center clock. Then show seconds is there. If you want to show the seconds in the clock, you can do that. AM PM style, if you want to show AM PM, then normal size, this is the normal size font style, and I'll just set this to as right, maybe. Yep. And there you can see this is the normal font style, this is the small font style, and I'll just go back, set the clock position to as left, and alright, and enable smart clock. So you might have seen in this video that the clock was showing up here at times, and then it just disappeared. I'll just hide the clock. Now what this does is, okay, and now you can see that the clock has hidden. So I'll just pull down the quick settings panel quickly. The clock is there now, and it will now automatically go away after some time. And there you can see that the clock gets hidden away automatically, so that the problem with the POCO F1 is that the notch is really wide. So to make space for the notification icons, the clock will show up from time to time, but then it will also get hidden so that you can see the apps that you have got notifications from. Then you have got battery indicator. You can configure how the battery indicator should look like. You have got different options for that. This is the portrait icon, this is the landscape icon, and actually this is not the landscape icon. The landscape icon should have been in the landscape mode. That should have been a sleeping portrait icon. No, I meant that should have been a sleeping battery indicator, but yeah, I think this is probably a bug, or yeah, I don't know. This couldn't, I don't think icon in the landscape mode should mean that this icon should have rotated by 90 degrees. But anyway, I think this is a bug though. Yeah, and then if you just want to show the text, you can do that. Battery percentage, you can show that inside the icon, next to the icon. Then you have got settings for the brightness slider, auto brightness, and brightness control. Alright, I think we are done. And gestures, this is where you can enable that pie navigation bar from. Jump to camera, you can press the power key twice to launch the camera and prevent the phone from ringing. We have already covered that option. Alright, and lastly, to sum it all off, we have got the developer options, and it is here that you can enable some advanced restart. If you want the advanced restart menu to reboot into recovery bootloader mode, then you can enable that option from in here. And the hide display cutout option is present under it was present after the animation settings, I guess. And we also have a kill app back button, and force activities to be resizable, force allow apps to use the external storage. You can enable all those options if you want to. And I'll just go back, yeah, and simulate a display with a cutout. So when I tap on hide, then it will hide the notch, and if I tap on default, then the phone will just go back to the state it was in before. Alright, so that's all what we have in here. There are a lot of options in the developer options, and you have got some Bluetooth codec settings in here too. So if you want to play around with those, you can do that. So yeah, I guess that's all that we have in the settings menu. And as far as the apps that you get in the ROM, I have installed these two are Substratum themes. Audio FX is there, and then and you can also use Audio FX if you want to configure the output of the speakers. You can do that. You can configure the bass, and if you want to have reverberation, then you can do that. If you want to have a custom setup, I think you should be able to play around with some stuff. Yeah, So you can play around with the different levels and get to an audio setup that you like the most. Bass and okay, so just play around with that with the settings if you want to. And Google camera works. I have had no problems with that, so I'll just take a few photos really quickly, and I'll just get to night sight right away. And here you go. Okay, and you can see that the image has been processed. The detail is really good. So yeah, night sight works. And I've already made a detailed comparison video between night sight and Xiaomi's super low light mode, so I'll be having that linked right below in the description box if you want to check it out. And rest, the FM radio is present. You get an inbuilt gallery application. Kiwi browser is not there. The ROM is not rooted out of the box. You will have to flash root if you want to. Messaging, and then you also get an inbuilt music player, an inbuilt phone application, and there is a built-in screen recorder too, and also an audio recorder is there. And yeah, that's all that you get with the ROM. I think I have covered almost everything up. And the main improvements here are the performance, although I think I will still be going back to MIUI for a while till the ROM improves even further with performance. Don't get me wrong, the performance is really great right now, but I think it can improve further, and it will with time, obviously. So I'll just wait for some more weeks maybe before I get back to AOSP. I personally love AOSP ROMs more than MIUI, and but for the timing I will be sticking to MIUI because of the extra performance that it offers, and I think just I'm just kind of liking MIUI for now, so I will be sticking to that. But I think just a couple of weeks later I will be going back to AOSP based ROMs. So that's it for this video, guys. If you like the video, do give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more ROM reviews. I will be reviewing a lot of ROMs for the POCO F1 now, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel to get alerted about those videos. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Sayonara.